φράχτη μες στη φουντωτή, χαριτωμένη τώρα, όπου δροσιές και μόσχους κλεί, η φύση σύμπρε την καλή και τη γλυκιά της ώρα. Όπου δροσιές και μόσχους κλεί, η φύση σύμπρε την καλή και τη γλυκιά της ώρα. Ρωσίες και μόσχους κλεί αυτός, ο βάτος φουντωμένος, και μέσα ακούστηκε γλυκός, ανακουστός και λαϊδισμός και λιποθυμισμένος, και μέσα ακούστηκε γλυκός, ανάκουστος και λαϊδισμός και λιποθυμισμένος.
Κι άλλο να πας,
ξαναρθείς στη Ζάκυνθο, να ξαναρθείς κι άλλο να πας, κι άλλο να έρθεις στη Ζάκυνθο, να ξαναρθείς κι άλλο να
Κυριακής στο ξύπνημα με λιώνει με μορλαίνει, ακούω γιούλια ολόβλαμα, ακούω γιούλια ολόβλαμα.
Φέρτε μου την αγάπη μου, φέρτε μου την αγάπη μου, να έρθω να σας δοξάσω.
Αγάπησα, αγάπησα κι εγώ φτωχός, ένα μπουμπού, ένα μπουκούνι χιόνι.
Good evening all and welcome to our online discussion entitled A Conversation Across Europe, Tourism and Remote Working Opportunities in the Ionian During the Pandemic and Beyond. So my name is George Kratsas. I'll be moderating tonight. So I can welcome our distinguished guests, starting of course with Rodi Kratsa, Governor of the Ionian Islands region, Alekos Alexakis, Deputy Governor in charge of Tourism and Entrepreneurship. We have Babis Voulgaris with us, hotel owner and head of the Association of Hotel Owners in Corfu. Adonis Nikoloudakis, hello, he's a hotel owner as well, and he's also in charge of the tourism sector in the municipality of Zakynthos. Dr. Jos Milios, special counsel in the Ionian Islands region in charge of healthcare, and as well as Eleftheria Lidovoi, she's the representative of Corfu GPs. So welcome all. And of course, I welcome our very lovely guests from all over Europe and the world who are friends of the Ionian and have kindly accepted our invitation and expressed their interest in participating tonight. So we can begin, I believe, with a brief introductory statement by Ms. Kratsa. Ms. Kratsa, you have the floor. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I would like to thank you for joining us today, motivated by your interest and your attachment to the Ionian Islands and your warm desire to explore what more we have to offer you and how we are developing today in the modern and challenging world. My colleagues and I are very glad to welcome you and to meet you, and we'll be very happy to hear your suggestions and your thoughts and reply to your questions. Dear friends, we're going through an unusual and changing time, and in the Ionian Islands, we're trying to find ways to continue to be competitive, attractive in this modern world. We strive to respond to all current challenges, maintain a safe and healthy environment, create the conditions for a sustainable development in order to strengthen the prosperity of our citizens and offer unique experiences to our visitors. Welcome. I welcome you once again, and I am at your disposal for the continuation of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you indeed, Ms. Governor, for your brief introductory statement. Mr. Alexakis, would you be able to make an introductory statement, please?
Of course, thank you, George. Dear guests, good evening to all of you, and I want to welcome you as well on our region, on behalf of our region, to this really interesting initiative of exchanging our viewpoints and experiences about the Ionian Islands, and obviously share our concerns and vision about the future of our land, not only in respect to the pandemic, but I believe as well in terms of prosperity and sustainability. The Ionian Islands actually capture everyone who has the luck either to live or to spend some time during the vacation. The aura and the spirit of its island are exceptional, reflecting the culture and unique identity of this part of the Mediterranean. To begin with, I would like to refer, of course, to the corona pandemic, which, apart from being an extreme and unprecedented situation, is undoubtedly a threat to entrepreneurship as well. So at the same time, it's top challenge, if you want my opinion, that requires innovative and effective responses. Entrepreneurs should focus on creating appropriate practices that will support growth and accelerate the innovation to meet the new needs of customers and society as they're shaped in the current context. They need to invest in research in order to design and implement innovative proposals related to health, environmental protection, energy saving, education, digital transformation, for example. The region of Ionian Islands, our region, consists of a versatile environment for a wide range of business efforts, establishment, and growth. However, the entrepreneurial profile of Ionian Islands seems a little vague, since tourism the last decades takes over, leaving behind the agriculture sector, for example, startups and innovative ideas as well. Our main objective the last 2 years is to combine these elements, highlighting the experience by being part of the life of our islands. During the last few years, something seems to be changing, as there are remarkable initiatives of high-end standards that reinforce not only financially, but also in terms of innovation and sustainability, the productive structure of the region. So I welcome you. This is a small introduction. I want to welcome you all to this very interesting idea that we're all participating today, of exchanging thoughts among friends of our islands, of our Ionian Islands, and thanks again for accepting this invitation. And I will be very honored to hear you, your thoughts and your concerns of the islands that I'm sure that you really love. Thank you very much, George. I hope I wasn't very
lengthy. No, that was perfect. Thank you very much, Alexandros. Okay, excellent. So I suggest we start off with the first section, focusing on tourism and the questions from our participants. And then our experts from the region, from the municipality, and from various associations of the Ionian Islands will get a chance to address those. So I would like to begin with the process of submitting questions. We shall have first Anna Bukowska, our first participant. She is originally from Poland, but she has been living and working in Geneva for many years now. So she works for NGOs present in the area of health, representing nurses, where she manages governance matters. and she's a friend of Zakynthos. Anna, would you be kind enough to submit to address your question, please?
Thank you, and hello for the invitation. I hope you can hear me well. My question is connected with the current situation, obviously the pandemic, also what we see all over Europe, meaning there is lots of connections which are being cut, flight connections. Some routes are being cancelled completely, so it might possibly create a difficulty for travelers. And I just wanted to know your view, how you're perceiving development of tourists with this aspect, which is not totally up to you, I guess, because there is companies, Aryan companies involved, and yeah, the cost of previously relatively cheap routes now got higher. So yeah, I would like to hear your view on it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Anna. Sébastien Hinault is I will submit the next question. He's originally from France, but he's based in Florida, and he works as a general manager in the airline industry. And he's been a very close friend and frequent visitor of Lefkada for many years. Sébastien, are you able to submit your question, please?
Can you hear me correctly? Yeah. Good evening, Kalispera. Good evening, everybody. So I'm definitely, yes, a friend of Grace for now many years. So so much friend that I got married with a Greek woman. So she is from Lefkada, where it's been now something like 27, 28 years that I've been there. I mean, almost every year, and of course all the other Ionian islands around Lefkada. So I mean, I've been, I mean, almost during these 3 last decades, I mean, I've seen, yes, a lot of changes every year, yes, coming, I mean, spending mainly my vacation, but at least I'm spending at least 1 month every year, I mean, in the Ionian Islands. When you talk around you, I mean, about the Ionian Islands, they are definitely not the most famous islands, okay? But despite, of course, I am convinced that they represent a unique tourist potential, completely, I think, at this stage, still underestimated. And recently, I will not give any name here, but I was, and that was 2 years ago, yes, just before, I mean, the pandemic, I was hearing a mayor, so from a city around Lefkada, let's say, we won't give any name, but saying that, okay, the tourists already have the beach, they have the sun, what else do they want? I mean, so, and I think that this example really illustrates, yes, the shift, I mean, in what the tourists today, I mean, expect in the evolution of beyond, of course, the beach amenities, I mean, that tourists seek, okay? So having this, having also the opportunity to travel a lot, very modestly, I've seen also many countries and regions, of course, which have adapted to the new tourist demand, okay? Because there is, of course, it's changing. I mean, especially with the new generation of people as well. And so Greece, for me, remains, I mean, an incomparable, has an incomparable advantage by the blue of its sea and its unique landscape. And I'm here more specifically talking about, of course, the Ionian Islands. So my question is really around in terms of how can we develop, yes, this unique tourism potential in these islands with these wonderful landscapes. I mean that starting maybe with the quality of service in hotels, in restaurants, and maybe having more diverse, I would say, activities offered, such as, I would say, trekking. I mean, these Ionian Islands offer not only the sea, there are a lot of mountains, forests. I mean, it's very unique. I mean, I couldn't spend more than 3 days, I mean, in Santorini, because I mean, after 3 days, I've seen everything. In the Ionian Islands, I mean, it's completely different. And so I just would like, yes, to understand what is the strategy and the tourists also target of the Ionian Islands for the coming years? Are the local authorities finally ready to really, exploit, the tourist potential of these islands by maybe hiring also consultants to advise them on the changes in tourism, and also why not by developing maybe more public-private partnerships with a real common visions shared by all the Ionian Islands? That was my question. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sebastian. We can definitely, you do definitely convey your love for the Ionian Islands through your contribution. So we're moving on to our next participant. That's Patricia. Patricia is based in Warsaw, but she's originally Polish, but she actually grew up in Greece. And she has been a visitor of Corfu, but she has actually spent a lot of time in the Ionian Sea from the other side, so from Ptolemaida. So it would be interesting to hear her perspective. Patricia, you may proceed. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, George. So, Harika Yassas, Kalispera. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me, George. I'm really glad I can participate because, yes, as you said, Greece is very close to my heart, as my family moved there like 20 or 20 more than 20 years ago. So I literally spent there every holiday of my life. I used to live there for a couple of years, but it was when I was a kid. It's mostly in the center of Greece, so it's close to Athens, but I always try to also visit other parts of Greece. So I also have had a chance to visit Corfu, Lefkada, and spent some time in Amaliada and those places near there. So on the continent. So my question would be pretty simple. It is more from inhabitant perspective. I would be interested to know how the tourism decreased in the last 2 years, so 2019, 2020, in compared to the previous years, and how people living in this region, especially those living from tourism, obviously, were doing, how they were dealing with decreased number of visitors in those difficult times of pandemic. Thanks.
That's excellent. Thank you very much, Patricia. So next up, we have Keith with us. Hi, Keith. I have to say, Keith, I was expecting to see you together with Georgina. I see you're on your own.
Georgina's turned a little bit shy this evening, so she sends her apologies, and she's let me do it.
That's perfectly fine. So Keith is a frequent visitor of Kefalonia. He's from England, in the Midlands, north of Birmingham. He was working in IT for 40 years, and together with Georgina, who they've been married for 35 years, they're frequent visitors, sometimes twice a year. So Keith, you may proceed with your question. And just to let everyone know, this will be the final question touching upon tourism. Then we'll have the experts respond, and then we'll start off with the second section on entrepreneurship and remote working. Sorry, thank you. Keith, you may please proceed.
Well, good evening, everyone. Kalispera. I'd like to thank you for inviting me this evening, and my wife, who can't attend. Kefalonia itself is very dear to our hearts, and as George said, we've been going there for over 20 years now. We love every part of it. The biggest part we actually love about going for so long is the fact that it hasn't changed too much. It's still, as far as we would class it as being, it's very genuine Greek, as far as we're concerned. It's not over commercialized, which is great. It's a beautiful island and beautiful people, lovely people, very friendly. My only concern is that of inflation and the actual cost within the island. Two parts are raised. One part is, whenever we've been on the island, the people that we deal with in the shops, the restaurants, the stores, they're more, that they have been more keen on us paying in cash rather than using credit cards. And that's because, you know, I appreciate that in Greece, taxes are very high. So not only are they paying taxes on you know, their goods and their revenue, but if they have to take a transaction by a credit card, then they're paying a commission on top of that. Now, I appreciate, Roddy, that this is something that yourself and you know, the government of the islands don't have much control over, but it's the concern that because of the pandemic, most people in most countries now will tend to use credit card transactions, especially touch transactions, rather than using cash. So, you know, would this be a thing that will drive up prices within the islands because of more people wanting to use credit cards rather than paying cash, and therefore eating into the profits of your retailers? The second part of that, you know, similar question is the fact that over the last 10 years, the actual cost of the holidays at your lovely island has increased by about 50%, which, you know, which is great for your retailers, but it's just a fear that these increasing prices could scare away visitors, because you know, your prices have been very good. It's been attracting visitors. It's and what you don't want, you want to continue to attract those people to actually visit your islands rather than outprice yourselves in comparison to other areas around the world. That's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Keith. Again, this has all been really, really good contributions. And of course, they're coming from people who love the island and they genuinely care about them. So we may move on with the responses. I would like to invite Dr. George Milios and Eleftheria Lindovoi. We have a chance to have people, doctors who are involved in, you know, tackling COVID in our region. George and Eleftheria, would you like to respond to Anna's first statement about tourism during COVID, during the pandemic? Hello, I'm not sure you can hear me. George, Eleftheria? Can anyone hear me, by the way?
Yeah, yes, we can. I think,
Yes,
yeah.
just a moment. I was trying to unmute my. Yes, we were both involved last year, and with some of you we have collaborated. The contribution of healthcare providers are more than ever crucial to guarantee the tourist product, the local touristic product. So it was a very important experience last year, and I think Corfu, especially because we are working in Corfu, had an excellent contribution to this challenge. And I think that this year, after our experience of last year, I think that it would be great, and it will guarantee good results. Also because now we have the vaccination, we have a great amount of people that they're getting the vaccine, and we're expecting from them more higher even percentage of even more people getting vaccinating during the next month. So I think that even this year we will guarantee a normal touristic season. I don't know if George wants to add something from his experience of last year.
I'm really sorry, but I got disconnected, so I have no idea what was the question. I'm totally sorry. If somebody can put me up to the data, you're working on.
No problem at all. Anna asked, how do you foresee the coming months with COVID for tourism in the country and in the region? So that sort of touches upon your area of expertise in the region of Ionian Islands. So if you'd like to make a comment.
Absolutely. Firstly, let me thank you for this initiative and, of course, for the invitation from the Deputy Governor of Public Coherence and Health, Mr. Zorbas, that so unpleasantly couldn't be here. He had a previous schedule that he couldn't postpone, and he apologized for that. So let's go back to your question, Anna. How do we foresee the upcoming things? Listen, this SARS-CoV-2 virus is quite unpredictable, but we have a special weapon in our arsenal these days, which is called immunization. So as the immunization goes on, we are already in the region of the Ionian Islands in about 50% of the population, plus that 1% of the population is being vaccinated each and every day. So till the end of the next month, we're hoping to achieve a 70% of total immunization of the general population, which will overcome the herd immunity. That will give us a great amount and space of liberty and freedom of movement, and of course the luxury of having our guests and feeling safe in a cozy environment. From the other hand, I can tell you that the whole region, the whole Ionian Islands, have been quite equipped well, both in mankind and manpower, as much in medical equipment. All the major islands have big general hospitals that will include ICU units, which will cover everything. The PCR tests are being done daily with hundreds or thousands, I might say, in the whole island. So, at the whole island. So, from the perspective of the medical part, the medical field, we are very well fortified. So you could feel totally safe. There is no problem. Doctors are having a great experience. We have strict protocols that everyone that is in the business of tourism has to overtake the course and receive a certificate. We had this experience last year. We are totally for the whole pandemic period. We've been in the green zone, one of the most safe areas in Europe. 99% of the time we've been in green zone according to ECDC. Only 1% we've been in the yellow zone, never been in the red. So we are among the safest destinations in planet. That's not an exaggeration. This is the data from ECDC. Everybody can check them from daily base from the very first hour of the pandemic. I don't know if this covers up, Anna, your question. If there's something more that all the participants have to ask me, I'm here to answer with great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. That's been extremely comprehensive, actually. Thank you so much. So a few other points were touched upon by our guests. And I was wondering, talking strictly about tourism, I was wondering if Babis Vulgaris, as I mentioned, is president of the head of the Hotel Owners Association of Corfu. So I think it will be quite interesting to hear his perspective. Babis, would you like to contribute?
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank you all for inviting me, Mrs. Kratza, of course, and it's always a pleasure to have people that love the Ionian Islands. We were born here, so we didn't choose them. We love it anyway, but you chose the Ionian Islands. So I think the people that chose it really love it even more than some people that actually live here all the time. I'll touch just on Anna's before I go to Sebastian's question, because another important weapon we have, and it was an initiative by the Greek government, is the digital certificate that will be helping the travel around Europe and Greece. That will show if you've been vaccinated, if you have, or passed COVID, if you had the PCR test. That gives us a weapon that the whole of Europe can travel with the same protocols, which is very important. and it's been running. It's been digitalized now. Tomorrow, the Greek government will have a presentation of it, and it's going to be all over Europe. And I think it will help transport. Since last year, we didn't have it, and it was a big question. When they ask me, because I get this question every day and they walk in the streets, how is the season going to be? It's like one thing that the COVID has taught us is don't make predictions. Don't make predictions. Things change every year. We will be ready. We are here. We will be vaccinating more and more people every day to get as ready as we can get. Tourism has already opened, but when the flows start getting bigger, and as what I say is the most important is have more people vaccinated and keep the measures, keep the protocols that worked last year. We had people come, much less than the years before, but we had people come and it was a safe experience and they enjoyed being here. And that was the most important. So I'll move on to Sebastian. I think, Sebastian, your question, I always say, is the $1 million question. Sea and sun. Sea and sun is why people will choose Greece as the first option. But sea and sun is in other places as well. And it is our competitive advantage, but it's not enough. Definitely not enough anymore. People, what are they looking for? They're looking for experiences. We looked at every guest we talked to in our hotels is like, why did you come here? Is like, of course, I want to go. Sorry. I want to come, swim, lay on the beach, but I want to try the food. I want to see culture. I want to see your civilization. I want to see so many more things. And people are getting more and more differentiated. You said about trekking, there's scuba diving, there's people that come to seek, I don't know, church. They want to see old churches. People come here to meet and try only the food and go to different restaurants. It's that's what I always tell hoteliers. Try, especially the small ones, try to make your hotels differentiate, make them special for one reason. Be maybe a yoga retreat and do that very, very well. Or bring cyclists and just involve them in routes around Corfu, which is my island, and teach them how to see things that they wouldn't do somewhere else. So differentiation is a key point. The strategy the years before wasn't there. I'll be completely honest. We were going on automatic pilot. That's what we say in Greece. We weren't discussing, we weren't sitting together, the hoteliers together with the travel agents, together with all together with the municipality, the governors, all together. We wouldn't sit on the same table and discuss. This has changed. This is the good thing. COVID has made things hard. It changed everything. We went from over tourism to zero tourism in 1 year, which was a shock for everybody. But then that made us come together. So that's a good thing. We sat together and we discussed. And as you said, our strength will be the private-public partnerships in the future. We have sat down. We have discussed that we need a DMO yesterday rather than today, which is the Destination Management Organization, and we need to first of all I've discussed it with Mrs. Kratsa, and she agrees definitely a data hub for tourism. So we see where we are, to see do surveys, see what our guests need, what they want, and then build on that and go forward. That's the only way we can go ahead, because we think we know everything. We think we know how tourism will go, but we need to first understand what our guests are saying, what they want to see change. And when we get this data, when we sit together, then we can discuss strategy. And I think our goal for everybody around this table and all our entrepreneurs in Corfu is to drive quality up. And I've seen it in the recent years. Hoteliers in Corfu have increased their scores on TripAdvisor. They have renovated their hotels. Even this year, we have 2 or 3 new hotels opening in the island, either through brand new renovations or being built up from scratch, even in this difficult time. So it shows that we have a potential. And we need this potential to grow even more. We need quality. We need to differentiate our products, and all together sit down and discuss strategy, having the data that we need. And that's the way forward. And I think, as you said, even consultants coming, specialists, that's the way. We don't know anything. We need to learn from other places that have done it and have done it well, and then put that in our own terms and make it better. And that's I think the future for us. I hope I tried to answer. I'll be here to answer almost questions if you have, but thank you again for having me.
Thank you very much, Babis. That was very comprehensive and very inspirational as well. So, yeah, would Mr. Alexakis, Deputy Governor in charge of tourism, entrepreneurship, I think he may be up for making a comment on some of the issues addressed by our participants.
I have no issue if Ms. Kratza doesn't want to take part. I would take 2 minutes. I think Babis covered very in short time, but he was to the point. I would stick on those two key points that Babis analyzed previously, and this is as the question comes. Are the local authorities finally ready to exploit the tourist potential by hiring those consultants who have the know-how, have the experience, and could advise? That was a problem on the previous years, according to my opinion. Was the problem that there was no strategy. So the aim here is to build up the strategy, and according to the trends. The trends of the new trends actually of tourism today, and bringing all those people that have the know-how, the experience to give us the push and the help actually to radiate our islands to the next level, to make that next step that we have to do when we talk about tourism. So. The political system in general, I don't think that is actually looking in total. When I'm talking the political system, I'm talking about from the right, left to the right to that system, which I think which is the key, in my point of view. The key public-private partnerships, the key that will bring the tourist industry in our Ionian Islands to the level we all wish one day. How can we do that? Apart from our strategy as a region, is the DMOs, as Bobby said, and this is something that with Ms. Kratza, we have started from day one. We're working with the Ministry of Tourism to that aim, which, in my opinion, and I'm closing with this, is the key to succeed. Destination management organizations will be the key to bring all those people who can take the Ionian Islands to the level we want, and this is our target. And I hope that soon we will be able actually to implement such an organization in our region as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Alexakis. So that's been very, very helpful. We have Mr. Adonis Likoludakis as well with us. So as I mentioned earlier, he is he's in charge of tourism in the Zakynthos municipality. So he will have a few interesting points to make. Would you like to make a comment, please?
Of course. Good evening from me to everybody from Zakynthos as well. I'm very happy to be part of this very important discussion. To start to answer to the questions that were done before, regarding the hygienic matter and the COVID situation, it is obvious that Greece in general was one of the best examples of handling the COVID crisis for the last 15 or so months. This has been no exception to our region, to the Ionian regions. We managed to work, although of course at much lower level, last summer, and definitely we will be succeeding in making things much better this year. As people who spoke before me said, right now Greece and the Ionian Islands are in an excellent position handling the COVID crisis with very good immunization percentages, which will grow bigger in the next month to come. So I'm quite positive about this. I think within the next 3 or 4 months, we will be facing a hugely different situation, practically and financially as well, because as the immunization wall, as we said, will be growing, we will see a lot of the tourist volume growing towards the end of this tourist season. And this will be a very welcome thing. We are all waiting about this. Regarding the situation in strategy and in the Ionian Islands, and of course on my island in Zakynthos, I have to say that everybody knows that tourism actually derives its own existence from one basic factor, which is nature and the environment. Environment is the basic structure upon which tourism works. What we do is we take this and we build a superstructure, adding up experiences, adding up services that will follow to prove to be experiences for the guest, for the visitor. There are 3 main factors that we have to count in to make an experience important and basically authentic: culture, civilization, environment, nature, and of course local gastronomy, which is a very important factor that people take into account when they come for a holiday. These are the things that we have to work on to create a differentiated product and a sustainable product. Sustainability is key. It's not just another code work that we do for the sake of name dropping anymore. We have to be honest, we have to be authentic, and we have to use all the best first values that we have on the island to make a better tourist product. It is very important that, especially in this year, we do not hide behind the crisis situation. We still have to give back to the visitors the promised value of the experience that they have. We have to have a very high level of good services, because service is king in our industry. And this is what will help, especially in this very difficult year, help increase and build up the relationship between the tourist industry and the visitor, our guest. And this is the much needed factor that we need to step up and step upon in order to come back in the next year. Obviously, this is not going to be a profitable year for the tourist industry, but it's going to be a much better year than the catastrophic last year. Societies like the island societies and the Ionian Islands are no different than that, rely heavily on the tourist income. Probably more than 70% of the local income derives directly or indirectly from the tourist economy. And as we know, the tourist economy was the one that was stricken hardest than any other economy in the country. More than an 85% drop in income than the profitable 2019. We are hoping to come back to probably maybe 50 or +% of 2019, which makes it a better year, but not a good year still. This will only lead as, as a new starting point for us to reevaluate the product that we have been offering and to see it as a challenge. It is a cliche that has been said very many times, that every crisis has to be seen as a challenge and as an opportunity. Definitely, this is the case here. We have to look inside and strive to provide an authentic product, an authentic and honest relationship to the guest, and to see again what are the guests, the modern guests' needs. We will be talking about this probably in the next section, which has been including like digital nomads. This is something so new for everybody, for us, but so fastly and so strongly growing. I'm quite positive actually Right now, strategies start to be implemented, but we are far behind. In all the islands of the Ionian region, we hope that we see this opportunity as a chance to step up and to try and react much faster than we have been before. Exactly because we don't have everything in our feet like we did for the last 10 years. We have been seeing a rapid growth of the tourist sector for the last 10 years. Everybody kind of relaxed because every year was better and better. And it is now in lean times that we have to very, very quickly reevaluate and come back. And we have to be much more effective than we have been before. Thank you, and I'm at your disposal to answer every other question.
Thank you very much, Adonis. That's been a lot of that's been very interesting with a lot of focus on competitiveness and services. So I think that's a key point for in our discussion. So I note that Patricia's question about retaining jobs in the tourism sector hasn't been addressed so far. So I reckon Babis might be best placed to address this point. Would you have a brief comment to make, Babis?
Yes, of course, I understand. Just Mr. Nikolodakis gave some numbers to understand that the drop last year was about 70% in the tourism sector in our hotels, in our actually the airport, and cruise ships went from 700,000 people in Corfu to zero. So you understand the drop was massive and big and sudden. How did people cope? How did small businesses, how did hotels, and how did employees cope? I think we coped because we had a lot of help from the government. That's true. For the first time, actually, in many years, like the government gave money, subsidies to businesses and to people that didn't work. If the unemployment benefit was about 300, 400 euros, they got about 600 per month for not working. So that helped. It wasn't a lot. People were expecting to make much more money, but it was enough to keep them steady. It was enough for businesses to get some subsidies and not close. And that's why this year is very important. If we have another year like this, I don't know if the government can sustain and give so much help. I was reading in an article online from a big newspaper that Greece was giving back in form of loans or subsidies to businesses or employees, or it's about 40% of our GDP. Where in other countries the median was about 25. So we had help, and that's why we're still standing. As I said, the COVID, I like to say that we were beaten hard. It was like boxing, but we didn't get bullets. So we have to keep standing. That's the goal, because this year was going to be hard as well.
Thank you, Babis. And no, I think I speak for everyone when I say it's very comforting to see there's been so much focus on this point, because it's extremely important. Okay, so I think that wraps up our first section. Then we're moving on to our next, the second section of our discussion, which focuses on entrepreneurial opportunities and remote working and digital nomads. And I'd like to invite all of our guests to submit their questions. So first of all, I would start with Sorina Campion. She's originally from Romania, but she's based in Oxford. She leads on partnerships and stakeholder engagement for the Entrepreneurship Center at Said Business School in Oxford. So, Sorina, would you like to begin?
Yeah, thanks, George, and thanks everyone for sharing their insights with us. So, in my day-to-day role, I work a lot with entrepreneurs. And in the aftermath of Brexit, and even more so since the onset of the pandemic, I hear quite a lot this interest in relocating on their side. And I'm thinking mainly early stage software companies. And so, my question was, what do public authorities, the Greek public authorities, have to offer as incentives, or they're thinking of putting on the table for these people? And then what might be some of the challenges that you foresee in attracting entrepreneurs and digital nomads into your region? Thank you.
Thank you, Sorina. So our next participant is Daria. She's originally from Russia, but currently based in Budapest. So as you can see, we have a lot of mobility. A lot of people live in different countries from the one they were originally born in. So Daria, she's a lawyer by background, but she's been working for non-profit organizations and in the creative sector for the past few years. She first came to Corfu around 8 years ago. She fell in love. Since then, she's been regularly coming up until the pandemic, up to 2 to 4 times a year. So will be very interesting to hear your perspective, Daria.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Corfu. And oops. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Daria.
Okay, I do understand. Yes, so basically, back to your nomad questions, like the first thing that came to my mind in relation to Corfu, because I find in my experience, again, I'm talking about Corfu, I find it's like very family-orientated destination, and I think it's not a disadvantage but advantage. And I also noticed that for the Corfu Island, there's not really infrastructure for doing a nomad kind of thing. First, because there is big restriction for water sports because of the big ports. And I know like a digital nomad, it's like very trendy thing now. And but I'm just wondering, yes, like a little bit in connection with what you said before, how we're going to approach this question. Another way to keep like the original values, for example, and then to combine with new ones. So how to going to address that? And another thing what I experience, because I came very often, is that let's say nomad families. Like nomad families is very common in Corfu. So like the families that based in Corfu, the friends I got there, they like foreigners who live there maybe for 4 months a year. And I'm also interested about those, like what their experience about like foreign people who live in the islands, who are not like a tourist, but like more, let's say, like nomad family tourists who are like more like summer based there, not just for short time, but for longer time. How valuable they are to community. And also like about I just will tell all my 3 questions, and my third question is about the opportunities for someone who comes very often as me. Sometimes I wonder, what can I do here? But there is no really matchmaking connection between, let's say, because you have a lot of brain coming to the islands, and if someone looking for some cooperation, there is no like information available in English, what is possible to do there, or I should like what kind of skills you're looking for, or what kind of opportunities or cooperation you're looking for. So I think basically like those are my 3 questions. One is about like a possible cooperation for foreigners who come into the islands, and how we are going to address like nomads and what sport things, and about like nomad families.
Thank you, Daria.
Okay, so
that's been an all-around question, which shows how well you know the area.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I'm in a way patriotic tourist, so I will wish the best for the Greece and for Corfu. So.
Thank you. So our next and actually final participant is Caroline van Dorp. So she is dialing in from Lisbon, Portugal. She actually, again, she doesn't come originally from Portugal, but she lives there now. And she works as a strategy consultant and is a branding expert. And she actually spent a big part of her adolescent years in Corfu, and is very knowledgeable about the area. Caroline, would you like to submit your question?
Yeah, well, there is a question I have here. Thank you very much, first of all, Evkaristo Poli, for letting me participate. Which strategy and branding branding does each Ionian island pursue, especially regarding industries other than tourism? Because, well, knowing the area very well, obviously, it's not just a place to make holiday. You can even study there. There's an outstanding university, which is accredited. So yeah.
Great, thank you very much. So, so that completes the round of submitted questions. So now our guests may respond. So we've had a couple of interesting points. It's about startups and incentives for startups and entrepreneurs to set up shop in the Ionians. We've had about digital nomads and kind of incentives that also are offered by the region or the state. I suppose it's also a state matter for people to move in and move in the region and work from there remotely, as well as branding for things other than tourism. Is there, may I ask, is there someone who feels they would like to submit to address any of these points?
Can I say something about this? Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was actually thinking of you on the back of my head. Thank you.
Well, these are really, really very interesting questions. Let me start at first talking about the digital nomad issue. What can I say? Nobody would have believed 2 years ago that all the people that are right now taking part in this teleconference would be doing this. This last 18 months of people being so far away from each other really kind of worked as a springboard for us to work out new ways of communicating, new ways of working. People have been working from away from the actual physical workplace for many months now. I was having a very important and very productive meeting with my banker 3 days ago. And in the back of my head, I was trying to make it a little lighter, thinking that he's probably, again, in the office of his house, working with his gym shorts right now and a good costume underneath, which is great, actually. I think that right now Europe is ready to use this threat as an opportunity and to reevaluate its own existence as a unique and homogenized continent. We have not been doing that successfully in the last years. Even now, more than 12 months after the start of this crisis, Europe has been failing to produce a unified hegemonic framework. Every country has its own different rules for dealing with the pandemic. So to come back with the digital nomads, we as businessmen are looking at this opportunity. We have been actually trying to come up with plans, with products as the hotel industry to provide new offers for these persons who are now traveling a lot, who don't need to be at their former physical place in order to conduct business. This means that we will be coming up very shortly with products that have to do with providing specific hardware in the room, in the hotel room, not in a general hotel area where we used to have this, what was called an internet corner, for example. Having a fast Wi-Fi is not enough anymore. This is just the standard. We have to provide hardware. We have to provide special services for these people who use their hotel room as a working place. Different working offices, different working chairs, different hardware for them to work, even different food and beverage experience, because these people are working. So they need different kind of snacks and food during their work when they are in our hotel. Maybe they don't feel like breaking up and going to the buffet, to the restaurant, to have lunch or dinner, because they don't do it at home. So we have to kind of provide a homely experience to the new teleworking person who will be willing to give us a chance and trying the hotel as a part of their new working environment. This is a beautiful challenge for me. And we will be actually mix and matching and working by trial and error. There's no way going around this. We will be trying out new things and see what works and what doesn't. So it's going to be very interesting in the future to see. Let me check again. As far as branding and general strategies, I think right now, well, actually, the Ionians don't have a brand name yet as a tourist destination. The Aegean does have a brand name as a tourist destination. The Ionians don't. Although, actually, 2 of the 5 biggest tourist island destinations are part of the Ionians, Corfu and Zakynthos. So there's a lot of work to be done in this direction, and years in front of us. This is what I would like to say at first, and I can come back and say more as the other friends say their own opinions about this.
Thank you, Mr. Nikolaidakis. I think it's actually, yeah, it's quite invaluable having you here and hearing your insight into these points.
George, I'm sorry, may I ask to Dr. Milios to present the health conditions, infrastructures and services in our islands?
Absolutely, thank you.
Very important, interesting information for the digital nomads.
Absolutely, yes, that's a very good point. Thank you, Ms. Kratza. Dr. Milios?
Yeah, definitely we have anything that will provide the security that a visitor will need to work as a digital visitor here. And the infrastructures that have been totally renewed due to the pandemic. The regional government itself has given a lot of money and a lot of investment on new equipment of the hospitals and the healthcare facilities, as much as in hiring healthcare personnel, both doctors and nurses. I can say that the healthcare facilities in the late months actually from the pandemic are in the best shape for since the start of the Greek recession in 2010. We heading up, we are speeding up, and we are almost in the European standard medium now. I think that everybody that comes to the Ionian Islands, especially because we have done a great and a superb work following the protocols that have been strictly by the central government with the correspondence of the regional government, has helped to maintain the safe record. Just to let you know, friends, that last year, no one from the stakeholders from the tourist industry has been infected with the coronavirus. That means that the protocols have gave a good result, and everybody has followed these protocols. We are very glad to see that we've been paid up, those efforts were been paid up. And I think that by doing the same thing this year with plus the immunization process that heads up, plus the certificate, the passport, the immunization passport that visitors will have us coming here, things will be totally in a good shape. And I'm really glad that we've been part of this huge project that has paid this kind of tremendous efforts.
Thank you, Doctor. No, I agree that the good track record of Greece as a whole and the Ionian Islands in particular in tackling the pandemic and permitting people to visit the region safely, I think it's undisputed and very well reported as well. And it's quite interesting to hear the specifics coming from you directly. Next, Mr. Alexakis, would you like to add a couple of points on entrepreneurship? I mean, this is this does touch upon your area of specialty within the region.
Thanks again. It won't take long. I'll put it into bullets. Previous guests have covered again a big amount of the three last questions. I would say that starting from the last question, as Mr. Nikolaakis very correctly said in two titles, there was never any strategy. There was no branding. According, it has to do with our region and our islands in general. So our effort as a region is exactly through the DMOs that we're hoping soon to implement in our islands, to start something right from the zero, because it's necessary, as I said in previous questions, for us to take the next step in the tourist sector. Starting with question number 2 that Ms. Lev asked, I would say that we're currently planning the framework of giving motivation to digital nomads to work from the Ionian Islands. What is this framework that we're planning? Entitles again, I would say high-speed internet access, which of course is not the only thing that we need to have, but 5G soon here in the Ionian Islands will be an asset on this framework. Reasonable cost of living around the Ionian Islands, the ideal climate that the most of the year, 9-10 months out of the 12. The aim to discover the best attractions of our islands. We've got the international airports and the ports, which is a great asset as well for our region. Multifunctional co-working spaces, and the experience of new cultures that someone could discover as well. The friendly family businesses, which is a big percentage of the total amount of the business in the islands. Foreigners, for example, in Corfu, are about exceed 8,000 people. Most of them come from Great Britain. So there again, there is a great opportunity as well thing to work with, and as well that's the idea that as a region and our effort has to do with the things that we'll soon we'll try through that framework to aim on the part of the nomads. And closing with the first question that had to do with the Brexit and the startups that as well said in the question, this is true. Many startups are looking to reallocate from the UK to EU countries. I have to admit and say that the Greek government has promoted a legal frame for attracting foreign investments, which has not yet been actually completed, but approaches the main issues such as economic and social and political stability, investment-friendly tax system, accelerate the administration of justice, for example, and the settlement of disputes, accelerate licensing and reduce bureaucracy, enhancing research and innovation, consolidation of the of our financial system. So I think that soon this environment will make it easier for those startups that look through the EU and make our region, why not one of the top regions through the European Union in order to reallocate themselves in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alexakis. And then touching in particular on those points about digital nomads, entrepreneurship, I wonder what would be a hotelier's perspective. So, Babis, would you be able to offer us a few words on this?
Of course, I'd be happy to. I think we just left Keith out in the first question he made about the prices in Kefalonia. And although I'm not in Kefalonia, I always believe prices should go up if quality goes up. If quality doesn't go up, there's no reason to pay more and more every time you go there. So that's a question one should ask entrepreneurs and hoteliers and restaurant owners in Kefalonia and Greece, anywhere. Like, why would you drive prices if your quality didn't go up? And hopefully we'll see a drive in quality, and that can have an increase in prices. So why wouldn't they take credit cards? That's wrong. 100%. Credit cards are being used more and more all over Europe. I understand they would do it for tax reasons, but that shouldn't be the case. Of course, if you want to pay cash, you could pay in cash, but nobody should be offered to pay more if they want to use a credit card, or should be declined to do so. And that's a regulation from the government. So you could even phone the police if they don't do that, if they don't accept your credit card, and they would even solve the case, hopefully. But that shouldn't be a problem anymore, because almost all businesses have to have credit card acceptance, POSs, as we call it.
Yeah, but Babis, it was more a concern about these small businesses that you have on your islands, how it's eating away at their profits.
Yes,
because of this.
Yeah, it's been hard. I understand. With 10 years of crisis in Greece, and small businesses had problems, especially with COVID now, understandably so. But I was talking to the finance minister, and he was telling me, especially with restaurants where you see this mostly, he was telling me like the subsidies they have gotten is 120% of what they declared the year before. And they were still not happy. Why they were not happy? Because they weren't declaring what they were gaining, actually. So that's what he was telling me.
Possibly.
Possibly. So it's a fine point how much, but I haven't seen a lot of restaurants closing down. So at least they're still open, and hopefully a normal year this year, starting from July, can get them back on track. Talking about digital nomads, most of the people before answer the question, why would they come to Greece? I would say first, because of our weather. And what do we need to keep them here? It's very important to have a digitalized country and have good internet connections, fast internet, actually. That's the most important. I was in a discussion today with Kyriakos Pyrakakis, who is the Minister of Digitalization and has done a great job. Truly, we have become very digitalized since the beginning of COVID, and we're far behind before the COVID pandemic, and we made leaps forward with more than 1,000 things you can do online, and keep solve things with the government, not directly but indirectly through some websites. But he was telling us that 60% in the 5G, which is a leap forward, it's the future for everybody. 60% of the Greek territory will be in 3 years, we'll have 5G, and over 90% in the next 5 years. We were one of the first countries in Europe to tender to the companies that have the cell phones and go through the tender and agreed the prices for 5G. So they're running. So we have 5G in a lot of places in Greece right now, but it's going to grow very, very fast compared to other countries. And that's going to give a boost, because we understand all these meetings have to be online with the digital nomads. We need working spaces, we need meeting spaces, we need, I would say, hubs of information and hubs of people coming together and discussing. That's, I don't know if the private sector will look into it, or even there will be subsidies from the government and the European Union for ideas like that. And I think they will start growing, since people will start, this demand will be growing bigger and bigger. I don't see Daria anymore. I think she left. But for water sports in Corfu, there's a lot of places and not a lot of ports that distract water sports. So if I could get her email, she could come to our hotel and do whatever she wants. But there's like at least around town and in a lot of beaches, a lot of water sports. So that would keep her happy. She asked how many foreigners. Mr. Alexakis answered, live in Corfu. There's about 8,000, but more have houses here, about 20,000, I would say, spend a lot of time in Corfu, and they're very, very valuable to our community and very valuable to our economy. So we're very happy to have them, mostly Brits, but more and more, you see more and more people from other European countries also buying houses and looking to invest in Corfu. So we're really happy about that, and this shows our momentum again. Finally, to answer Caroline's question that she said about strategies beside tourism, I'm in the tourism business, so I'm not great to answer your question. I'm not maybe the man who should be tackling this. But what I always say when the people say me that we're depending so much on tourism in the Ionian Islands, I say, yes, we do, but we don't want to decrease that. We just want to increase everything that goes around tourism. That is a different business. Agriculture can live through tourism, digitalization, applications, technology. Through tourism again can grow. So I think we shouldn't grow tourism that much. We should grow the things around it, which are great, and sustain the economy this way. That's always been my thing. And I know the Greek, the municipality and the prefect of the Ionian Islands have done a lot of meetings and strategies to improve and grow agriculture products all over Europe and the world. We've been exporting a lot, especially like olive oil or wine in other islands, not Corfu so much, but we've been growing, and we should attract more things, especially tech. But as I say, we could focus around tourism and build this relationship, and that's what I think should be the strategy for these things that are not only tourism but can grow through tourism. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Babis. And the point made by Mr. Alexakis was interesting about such a high number, actually such a high percentage of the population living permanently in Corfu is foreign, are expats themselves, which effectively demonstrates that Corfu and the Ionian Islands are a destination prepared with the right infrastructure and the right environment to host digital nomads and people working remotely. And I will also make sure to give Daria more information about your water sports facilities as well. I think that will make her happy. Well, look, I think that's been hugely interesting and very beneficial for both sides, actually. Are there any final comments, any final points anyone would like to make before we close? Okay, then.
I would like to thank all you for this interesting contribution, interesting exchanges, and invite you to visit our islands one by one with your friends to discover their particular identity, a unique identity, based in a common cultural heritage with a lot of development assets of each one. Thank you very much. I'm waiting for you.
Thank you, Ms. Kratza. So Ms. Governor, so that's been hugely interesting, very important. I think, how often do people who regularly visit a region get a chance to speak to elected politicians, experts, advisors in the areas of tourism, healthcare, competitiveness, entrepreneurship? So I think it's been a really unique experience, and I think we've all learned from it. Both our loyal visitors as well as experts and counselors involved in those sectors. So I would like to thank everyone, send a very big thank you to everyone who attended from all over the world. So we do expect, as Ms. Governor mentioned, we do expect to see you in the Ionian Islands soon. Please do get in touch. I think you all have my contacts, so please do get in touch if you need a follow-up with any of our participants. That'll be great to put you in touch. And thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Σε κύμα, σε γυαλό, με
Απρίλη. Πόδι κυρέρο τα χρυσό, τώρα που έστησε χώρο με τον ξανθόν Απρίλη. Πόδι κυρέρο τα χρυσό, τώρα που έστησε χώρο με τον ξανθόν Απρίλη.